There is a moment, a single unremarkable moment, that separates the world that exists from the world that almost was. Most of the time, we never know that moment happened. This time, we do. And the man at the center of it wasn't a president, or a general, or a diplomat. He was a mid-level Soviet military officer on a night shift, drinking cold coffee in a bunker, watching a screen. And on that screen, the end of the world blinked to life. September 26, 1983. The Cold War has never been colder. Just 3 weeks earlier, the Soviet military had shot down Korean Airlines Flight 007, killing all 269 people on board after mistaking it for a spy plane. The United States is furious. President Ronald Reagan has called the Soviet Union an evil empire. NATO is running military exercises near Soviet borders that Moscow believes may be cover for a real first strike. Both sides are primed. Both sides are paranoid. Both sides have thousands of nuclear warheads pointed at each other, ready to launch within minutes. This is the world Stanislav Petrov goes to work in on the night of September 25th. He is 44 years old. He is a lieutenant colonel. He is educated in military engineering, trained to run the Soviet Union's nuclear early warning system, a network of satellites designed to detect the heat signatures of ballistic missile launches from American soil. His job, on this particular night, is to sit in the command center of Serpukhov 15, a bunker facility about 100 kilometers south of Moscow, and watch for the signal that everyone hopes never comes. At 12 minutes past midnight, it comes. The alarm does not whisper. It does not suggest. It detonates through the facility like a physical force. Sirens, red lights, every screen in the room snapping to attention. And on the central display, in bold Soviet lettering, one word that changes everything. Launch. One missile. Detected. Inbound. American. Petrov lifts the phone. His hand is steady, or he tells himself it is. He is supposed to call his superiors at military command. He is supposed to report the launch, and they, in turn, are supposed to inform the Soviet leadership, who would then have minutes, only minutes, to authorize a counterstrike before their own arsenal was obliterated. The entire system is built on speed, on reflex, on not blinking. Petrov blinks. One missile. That is what stops him. One single missile, when the American arsenal has over 10,000 warheads. If the United States is launching a nuclear first strike, they are not sending one. They are sending everything. A coordinated, overwhelming wave designed to knock out Soviet command infrastructure before a response is possible. One missile doesn't accomplish that. One missile doesn't make strategic sense. One missile feels wrong. Then the screen changes. 2 missiles, then 3, then 4, then 5. The system is now screaming a full-scale nuclear attack. 5 intercontinental ballistic missiles, launched from American territory, confirmed by satellite, en route to the Soviet Union. Every protocol Petrov has ever trained for is now active. The room is chaos. Technicians at their stations, voices overlapping, eyes darting between him and the screen. He is the duty officer. He is the one who has to make the call. He has 15 minutes. That is the math of nuclear war. From launch detection to impact is roughly 15 minutes, which means the Soviets have 15 minutes, minus however many have already passed, to decide whether to launch their own missiles before they're gone forever. 15 minutes to respond to an attack that may or may not be real, with weapons that will definitely kill millions of people. Petrov does not dial military command. Instead, he does something almost irrational. He thinks. He looks at the data. He notices that the alert is coming from a single satellite, just one. He knows that a credible detection should be corroborated by ground-based radar systems, and those systems are showing nothing. The satellite could be malfunctioning. The data could be wrong. The alarm could be, in the language of engineers, a false positive. But that is a theory. The red screen in front of him is a fact. And in the Soviet military, you do not override facts with theories. You follow protocol. You make the call. He makes a different call. He picks up the phone and tells his superiors that the system is malfunctioning, that this is not a real attack, that the missiles do not exist. And then, in what must have been the most excruciating silence of his life, he waits. He later described those minutes as feeling like they lasted forever. He sat perfectly still. He did not know if he had just saved civilization or condemned it. He did not know if, in the next few minutes, actual nuclear detonations would prove him catastrophically wrong. He held the phone. He watched the clock. He breathed. Nothing came, because there was nothing to come. The Soviet satellite had experienced a rare alignment, sunlight reflecting off high-altitude clouds at a precise angle, creating a signature that the system's algorithms read as missile exhaust plumes. It was light. It was atmospheric. It was a glitch in a machine that had never been trusted with anything so consequential and should never have been. There were no missiles. There was no attack. America had not fired, and the world did not end that night. Petrov was right. He was also almost immediately punished for it. Not punished for the decision exactly, but for what the decision revealed. His accurate record-keeping exposed the catastrophic flaw in a system the Soviet military had spent billions building. His survival made their technology look fallible. He was quietly reprimanded for improper record-keeping during the incident. He was reassigned to a less prestigious post. There was no medal, no ceremony, no acknowledgement that he had, in 15 silent minutes, prevented a nuclear exchange that could have killed hundreds of millions of people and rendered large portions of the earth uninhabitable. He retired. He lived alone. He tended a small garden outside Moscow. His wife died. He gave interviews to Western journalists who found him decades later, modest, slightly bemused by the fuss, never quite convinced that what he did was as extraordinary as everyone insisted. He said he simply made the best judgment he could with incomplete information. He said the real heroes were the engineers who eventually fixed the satellite system. He deflected, always, with the kind of quiet dignity that history almost never gets to see. Stanislav Petrov died on May 19, 2017. He was 77 years old. His death wasn't announced publicly for months. The world barely noticed. But here is what you carry with you after you learn his name. On September 26, 1983, every single person alive on this earth came within 15 minutes of a nuclear war. A war that, by most estimates, would have killed over 1 billion people in the first exchange alone. A war that might have ended organized human civilization as we know it. And the reason it didn't happen, the only reason, is that one man, sitting alone in a bunker with a screaming alarm and a phone in his hand, decided to trust his gut over his orders. He was not a hero by the Soviet definition. He was not a hero by any official definition. He was just a man who, in the worst possible moment, asked the right question. He asked, "Does this feel true?" And when the answer came back no, he held his silence. And that silence saved the world.